So on behalf of Golf Saskatchewan, its board, staff, member facilities, and all of its golfers, we welcome our guest speaker, sport nutritionist for Team Saskatchewan, Heather Hynes. Thanks for joining us, Heather.
Thank you. Thanks so much.
Mm-hmm.
And I will go ahead and share my screen, and then we can get started. But for anyone who's listening on, if you're like going through, like as I go through the material, if there's anything that you want in more detail, I'm happy to share all the slides. So that's not a problem at all. If you're hoping to have the material in front of you, I can send that after this session. So hopefully everyone can now see my slide deck. As Steve mentioned, I'm a dietitian. Oh, now it says my participants can now see. Yep, got it. So I work with the Sport Medicine and Science Council of Saskatchewan. I've been doing so for about 20 years now. And it's something that I absolutely love. I provide a lot of nutrition education. So you might have been attending some of the sessions that we did last year, or even some were possibly in 2020 as well. And then for athletes hoping to go to Canada Summer Games, I'm also part of that team with Saskatchewan that will be at those summer games. So I do have information to share with you, but if you have any questions at all as we're going through, just pop them in the chat or do that little like raise hand function. I really find that this is an area that lots of athletes and coaches and parents have a lot of questions about, and they're really unsure where to direct those questions, or there's products that people are trying to sell to them and they're unsure if they should be actually taking them when they're involved in high performance sport. So, no question in regards to sport supplementation is off limits. So if there's something that you want to ask, please do. And then I'll put my email address at the end of the session. So if you wanted to just email me a question, I'm happy to manage those questions as well. So we also like to start with the Sport Medicine Science Council of Saskatchewan with a land acknowledgement. I'm based out of Saskatoon, which is Treaty 6 land, but our education covers all of our treaties and traditional lands of the Cree, Dakota, Dene, Lakota, Nakota, and Saulteaux people, as well as the homeland of the Métis. Another big part of my role that I really love, which also has to do with reconciliation, is I've been part of Team Saskatchewan for the past 4 North American Indigenous Games, and that will be taking place in 2023, hopefully. So that's another great golf and high performance sport opportunity is going to a NAG Games. The organization that I work with receives funding through Sask Lotteries. So we're a nonprofit organization, really with the mandate of providing high performance sport medicine and science services to both athletes, coaches, and officials within Saskatchewan. These are some of our programs and services. I've just highlighted the ones that I'm directly involved with, which is the lead with sport nutrition education. And then I also conduct the sleep and performance education session as well. And then just to highlight some of the resources that we have available within the province, just in regards to resources or the Kids Help Phone, it's always really important, especially with everyone doing a lot of virtual education, to realize that there are a lot of resources available to us if we need it. And we always have someone that we can reach out to. So just to get started with a little bit of interaction, and that also gives me an opportunity to see if I can see when you guys put something in the chat. This is a question for you. Which of the following is not a regulated product? Is it A, a box of Cheerios, B, Tylenol, C, 100% whey protein powder, or D, Kraft Dinner? What do you think? Maybe Steve will be the only one who sees the chat, but we'll see. Oh, I can see the chat. Great. C, yes, Steve is right. That is a unregulated product. So obviously Cheerios and Kraft Dinner would both be seen as foods. They are regulated as a food. B, Tylenol is a drug. It would be regulated as a drug, but C is supplements. And supplements, as you'll see in this presentation, are not regulated for content, for labeling, for nutrition claims. They're not regulated for anything. They actually have a process of like self-regulation, which means that the company gets to be regulating themselves, which usually doesn't pan out very well. So the Sport Medicine and Science Council used to provide a lot of drug education. Now we've turned it over to the Canadian Centre for Ethics in Sport. So you can just see the link down there at the bottom. So they provide a lot of education on what is allowed or not allowed within sport in regards to drugs, but they also do some supplement education as well. So they have kind of a, I would say, a mandate in regards to supplement use. And a lot of it is based on trying to be as educated as possible. So this is just highlighting kind of what is a supplement and what would fall within the category. So things like energy drinks would be seen as a supplement, vitamins and minerals. So if someone's taking a multivitamin, that would be categorized as a supplement. If someone's taking any homeopathic medicines or herbal remedies, let's say like echinacea, that would be seen as a supplement. Or maybe someone is taking a pre-workout product or a protein powder. Maybe they're taking a mass gainer. There's lots of products that can be taken to increase caloric intake, possibly something like caffeine or creatine. Those would all be seen in this definition of what is classified as a supplement. So the definition came out really to kind of get an idea of what's involved with this. So the IOC, the International Olympic Committee, in 2018 put together kind of a consensus statement on sport supplementation, and this was their working definition of like what actually is a supplement. So it's a food component or a nutrient or non-food compound that's purposefully ingested in the addition to your normal diet with the aim of achieving some health or performance benefit. So you're choosing to take an ingredient, let's say vitamin C, because you might think that it helped you have less days of cold and flu. So you take a vitamin C product. That would be taking one nutrient with the goal of a specific health benefit. So they came up with this working definition so that we can then kind of all be speaking the same language. What happened, and this is going back a ways, if you look at this from 1994 and 2002, and it's a totally different industry now. There wasn't supplement stores in 2002, and definitely not in 1994, is they really decided in the United States and elsewhere that they didn't need to have a regulatory agency looking at supplement content. And so because of that, and these laws are still in place, they fall within this Dietary Supplement and Health Education Act, which means they can kind of self-regulate. So the problem being, and I'll show you this on an infographic on the next slide because it makes it a little bit more exciting, is when you look at supplements and you test what's actually in the supplement, it can be a bit problematic. So there hasn't been a lot of research done recently, which is really too bad. The reason being is it's very expensive to do research. So in 2007, a US study looked at the rate of contamination within supplements, and they were looking specifically for steroid contamination and banned stimulant contamination. And they found of the products they tested, 25% of them contained steroids that were not on the label, and 12% of them contained banned stimulants. Other research studies have shown even, with a bigger sample size, have shown pretty similar results of the rate of contamination. So this is just an infographic. This is a great individual to, if you like sports science and you like when someone else puts it into an infographic, because then it's easier to understand. This is a great one to follow. So My Sports Science. So this was based on the research that was published in 2004, and it looked at the rate of, that rate of contamination. So how many products actually had something in it. So you went into Supplement World or you went into Walmart and you purchased a product and you look at the label and you say, well, that all looks good. how many of those products, when they actually tested it for content, would result in a positive drug test. So we would have very similar to supply to the United States. So here you can see they tested 240 different products. Of those, the rate of contamination was just under 20%, so 18.8%. That's pretty substantial. And so when people, talk about supplementation being like, oh no, it's safe to take, or you can take it, or there's no worries with that. There is, and there definitely is as you climb to higher levels within your sport, because of the amount of testing that is done within Canada, and then obviously at international events as well. So this one hit pretty close to home. This was from 2018, so pretty recent. This was an athlete in Regina who played for the Rams football team, and he was drug tested, and then they said, there's something in your sample, and he was quite shocked. So he said, I don't know where this came from, but can you test my pre-workout product to see if it was in there? So they did, and it was. So he was using this All Max pre-workout impact igniter. You might have seen it. It's a pretty popular supplement, I would say. And that contained a banned stimulant in it. And that resulted in a positive test for him. So he was given a 16-month sanction because of that product. They reduced it down from being 24 months to 16 months because he could prove that it was actually in his supplement. So this is, definitely something that's happening, unfortunately, but education is the key piece of the puzzle. Another athlete, going back a little bit more, but this athlete was also taking a product that was purchased at a GNC health food store called Oxy Pro. It can still be purchased over the counter. And he actually also tested positive for a stimulant, and he was given I believe quite a longer period of time of ineligibility, and then was also stripped of the medal that he had received. So we'll go into some of the supplements that are pretty common, I would say, in sports. There might be some that you've considered taking or some that you maybe are taking yourself. So when we talk to athletes about what they're actually taking in regards to supplementation, these are some of the reasons why they say, well, I want to take a supplement because. So these are the kind of the top reasons that Canadian high performance athletes are taking supplements. Staying healthy is a really important one that they'll say, I take it because I, want to supplement my diet. Some will take a supplement to increase their energy supply, possibly to enhance their immune function. Some might take it to help in recovery. So maybe they go from a weight training session right to a sport specific session and they don't have any time for food. So they say, well, can I just take this? Possibly. Or some will take it to improve their overall athletic performance. We also know that there's a big difference across sports. And I would say that your sport of golf has probably had a very interesting transition in how golfers, professional golfers, look and the physique that they possibly have. And you might have noticed that the sport has kind of changed with that. And there might be different pressures to do different things. And so when you look at supplementation, it really varies from sport to sport about it being kind of like a cultural norm that everyone takes supplementation or products versus other sports where people don't. So it's definitely not the same across the board. There's increased use of supplementation as athletes get to higher levels within their sport or training, increased use as someone ages, higher use with male athletes versus female athletes. And then that cultural norm piece where, I can be in some dressing rooms and every single athlete has multiple canisters of different products in their locker and that's what they do. Whereas I can go into other dressing rooms and everyone just has like food. They have a water bottle and they have food and that's that. But it's very different depending on the sport. So some of the questions to ask, and you might have thought of some of these questions, I highlighted, I would say the most important one specifically for your sport, is when you're thinking about taking something or you're wondering, should I spend my money on this because these products are very expensive? I think one of the most important things to look at is it even effective in your sport? Or is it even effective with your type of training? And I'll get into that with some of the supplement examples. What is the cost? So the actual dollars of it. Are there any potential risks to my health or potential risks to my performance? And if you're hoping to go to a level of competition like a Canada Games level or above, then I would say, yes, there can be some risks involved with supplementation. Is there a potential for a positive test? Possibly. So these are questions that you'd want to be asking prior to purchasing any type of product. And if you're wondering who can you ask, I have my email address right there. And I am totally fine with someone sending me an email, even if it's like a picture of the label and you're like, hey, I was thinking about this. Do you think this would even work with what I do? Those are great questions to ask prior to making a purchase. So what we can do to minimize the risk, and I might have touched on maybe this slide if you attended any of the previous nutrition webinars, is there are different companies that can help minimize the risk with supplementation. And hopefully, if you're interested in this area, you've possibly seen these logos before because you can find them on products in Saskatoon. And so these are companies that do auditing of the product. They do an audit of what's in it. They do an audit of the label, meaning that if you're looking at the label of whey protein and it says it has 27 grams of whey protein per scoop, if it has one of these 3 certifications, not all of them, just one of them, then yes, it actually does have 27 grams per scoop. So without one of these certifications, you actually don't have a clue what you've purchased. So I've gotten questions before on supplements from athletes saying, well, I'm not competing at a level that I would be drug tested. So why would I bother, getting something that's NSF certified for sport? The answer being, if you're buying something that isn't certified, you're probably spending $50 on who knows what. So if you're hoping to get something because it's advertising an ingredient that, let's say, helps with recovery or helps provide a quick source of energy, you want it to be certified so that you actually know that that's in there. So whether you're drug tested in sport or you're not, it's good to have a tested product. So NSF Certified for Sport is one of the companies that does it. The other one is called Informed Choice. You can see that's the green logo, or there's also, which is owned by the same company, Informed Sport. You will see the Informed Choice logo, I would say the most common for products I've seen in the province, depending on where you get your groceries. I know Costco has lots of products that are Informed Choice. If it does have that green logo on it, you do have to do one more step. So this is a product that maybe you've seen, and it is called Rivalus. That's the brand name. It's called Clean Gainer. So it's a weight gain product. It has the the Informed Choice logo on it right there. What you need to do is you actually have to go to their website and you have to match the batch number of what you bought to what's actually printed on the label. So this is what you would do. You would go to their website, super easy. You could type in Rivalus or you could type in Clean Gainer. It'll show you then what batches have been tested, and then you would actually look up your batch ID. Once it has that batch ID on it, then you know, okay, this product has been certified for sport. They have done an audit of the label, an audit of the contents, and it is definitely minimizing the risk of a positive test. The confusing thing that you'll sometimes see, this is a product that was purchased at Costco. It says NSF, contents tested and certified. That is not the same certification as NSF Certified for Sport. So you want to be seeing this logo. If you're ever unsure, you can search on it. So I believe it also has an app that you can scan products, but you can type into the NSF Certified for Sport. This is just showing an example that Red Bull is certified for sport. It's not a promotion of Red Bull. It's just if someone was looking for an energy drink, they were going to be taking it anyways. This is a tested energy drink. This is not one of the logos. I know it's confusing because it looks quasi-official, but this is a made-up, I would say, certification that the company has put on their label. That is not an auditing program that we have within North America. So you have to really know what you're looking for, and that's why it can be helpful to take a picture of what you're using, send it to me, and I can easily look it up for you as well. This is also not a third-party auditing company. It just says banned substance free. Again, because they're not certified, their label can say whatever it wants, which is the absolute opposite of food. Food has very, very strict labeling laws. You can't make any disease claims with food, like this food lowers cholesterol. So it's very, very strict with food. It's very strict with drugs, but with supplements, they can really say whatever they would like. I see Steve has a label that he has gone to get. And are you seeing anything on there that would be helpful?
So this is what I use. I put it in my morning shake.
Yes.
It's delicious. It's coconut cream.
Oh.
But I don't see any of the logos that you say. It says, if you can see it.
Yep.
True tested. What else? You know,
Oh,
all these different things, but none of them are what you have.
Yeah, but I see Zoom user, because that's the name of his Zoom account. He does have one on there. That's fabulous. Nice. I'm glad you brought that, because there you go. There's your informed choice. There's your All Max, and I will actually be chatting about creatine. So I'm glad that you brought that. And I think that that All Max right there is a great one, because you're going to see in 2 slides that All Max didn't used to be certified at all. So they have kind of upped their game, and you'll see that with lots of products like All Max Nutrition, Rivalist, some of the big brands. They want athletes using their products, and athletes are asking that the products be tested. And I know in NCAA programs, they have to be tested. Like, I don't know if the athletes sign a contract, but I know for any of those products to be provided, they must be certified for sport. So they have to have one of those 3 logos. So if you do have, well, maybe there's something in the chat. If you do have products, oh, I'm Jackson. Nice to meet you, Jackson. So if you do have a product and you want to show me the label, or you don't want to show everyone the label and you want to email me the label later, that's totally fine as well, because it can be confusing. So here you go, Jackson. This is exactly what you're taking, but you can see they've upped their game, and now it's informed choice. So this is the All Max creatine capsules, which is providing 3 grams, but they try to make it sound more interesting as 3,000 milligrams. So before, it didn't have that certification, whereas now it does. So if you're ever continuing to use it, and you are purchasing like your next container of it, make sure the next one also has that logo on it, because All Max has to pay for that certification. So what you'll sometimes see is the company will sometimes get batches tested, but they sometimes won't. So if anything you're purchasing, you don't want to say, oh, last time I bought it, it was tested, it must still be good. You always want to make sure that it's still testing the brand that you have. So I just highlighted the logos that mean nothing. So if you're seeing something that says purity and potency, quality guaranteed, that means nothing. Certified GMP, that has nothing to do with contents. That's just good manufacturing practice. Gluten-free, there's never gluten in creatine anyways, so it shouldn't be in there. And lab tested, every lot, again, that has no certification behind it. But it looks tempting, so it can be quite confusing. When we look at who's giving who supplement advice, I don't even think dietitian made the list, but family and friends were up there for sure. Strength trainers were up there as well, and they can have a lot of really great education behind them, or it can be quite variable. Coaches provide a lot of I would say support and can sometimes ask and provide advice. And so we always want to make sure when we're providing supplement education and advice that we're going to the source that can help with some of those decisions. So this is also a slide that I might have gone through last time, but I'm just going to show these because these are kind of our like medical supplements that we know can enhance sport performance. So if someone was looking at, well, which ones are actually kind of required, it would probably be these ones, but then we'll look at some that you might also be interested to learn about. So these are supplements that are correcting a deficiency. So they're not your kind of exciting performance supplements, but they make a really big difference if something is low. So I'd always encourage high performance athletes to check in with your family doctor, ask to get blood work done. I know it's no one's favorite thing to do, but it has a really big impact on your ability to train and your ability to adapt to a training program. So you'd be looking at your iron values because of where we live. Having vitamin D daily is really important. B12 can be very important if you're not consuming animal products. And then calcium can be very important, especially for athletes that are still growing and developing. So these are supplements that I usually would take on an individual basis. If I was working with an athlete to help with their nutrition programming, I would make sure, okay, let's just make sure that your body's in a good state of health. And so we would look at these parameters and see if a supplement is needed in order to correct them. So for example, with the iron, if someone's iron values are low, we would probably have to supplement for it to be corrected. You can't just like eat more red meat or spinach and hope that it's going to go up. You probably would have to supplement. So that's typically where a supplement would come in for a medical reason. I get lots of questions about multivitamins. Multivitamins won't do much of anything because the dosages are so low. So if someone was, let's say, not having dairy products, or someone was not having any red meat, and then they just took a multivitamin, it will not correct if there is a deficiency in place. It's really someone's choice if they want to take a multivitamin. We just want to be aware that it won't correct deficiency typically. It can do a good job of supplementing the diet, but you can see the dosages are quite small for some of the main ones that are usually I would say areas of concern sometimes in sport, such as B12, vitamin C is easy to get in our food, D3, iron, 4 milligrams. So just to go back, if you needed to correct a deficiency, you need 100. So you're not going to get that with a multivitamin. And then calcium, 162. So that would be like in 1/3 of a cup of milk. So getting into kind of more of the exciting supplements, like what Steve's taking in his morning shake, is we kind of classify them in 3 kind of main categories. The ones that I try to stick with are the ones that actually perform as they claim to and actually have science based on high performance athletes to show that, yes, it does actually do what it says that it does. You will see that that is a very, very short list. There's loads of products that claim that they do loads of different things, but there isn't evidence to support that. Then we have products that clearly do nothing. They do not perform as they are claimed. Someone might still want to spend the money on them, make sure that they're third-party tested, and that's their choice. Then we have our category of these are dangerous. We know that these possibly can contain banned or illegal product, therefore they should not be used. So those that do perform as they claim to and actually are backed by science are some of these. And I'll highlight 2 of them that I would say are probably the most common ones. The ones that I'll highlight that I would say could impact sport performance in your sport would be caffeine. So we'll touch on that one. Some of the other ones you see on here, beta alanine, that would be more for like your kind of anaerobic or aerobic exercises that last 1 to 4 minutes. So definitely not your sport. There's also different buffering agents like a sodium bicarb that also would not be relevant for your sport. Creatine, we will talk about that one, possibly could be beneficial for your sport. I would say more as a training supplement versus actually needing it during the competitive season. But I'll touch on that in a bit more detail. And then nitrate, which is found in beetroot juice, would not, if you look at the sports that it would have a performance benefit for, golf would not fit within that category. I just thought I'd highlight this one because it's super popular. It has quite a few professional golfers as their like sponsored athletes. You might have tried it, you might like it, you might purchase it, but this would be a supplement in a category of it does not perform as it's claiming to. So this is Biosteel is the company name. Biosteel has lots of different products, but this is Biosteel Drink the Pink. It is a branched chain amino acid drink. So that's that BCAA. What it is promoting is that it's an alternative to something like a Gatorade or a Powerade. It is not. So Biosteel is a sugar-free drink with the idea that our brain can use branched chain amino acids as fuel. It can't. It claims that it can improve your mental alertness and that it can delay the onset of fatigue. It cannot do those things. What it can do is it can hydrate you because it is water. So that would be the extent of it. There's been quite a few, like if you search like Drink the Pink golf, you'll see there's been loads of like anecdotal evidence of like improved mental alertness, like, you know, at the last half of a round, or, you know, different claims like that. Or someone saying, I like the flavor, so I drank more fluids. Yeah, that's a positive if someone drank more fluids, but it won't delay mental fatigue. It won't delay fatigue because our brain is sugar dependent and is looking for a source of fuel. So if this is a product that you like, the good thing is as you can see with the green star, it is NSF certified for sport. So that's good. It's guaranteed for the contents that is in it based on the label. But I don't like when people have the misconception that it's equivalent to something like Gatorade or Powerade, or that they're using it for the later part of a golf round, thinking that it's going to help them not get tired, because it cannot do that. If someone was drinking this product and eating a banana, then okay, you're going to get your energy source from the banana and you're going to get your liquid source from this, and you could have that together. But if you're looking for a liquid that's going to also delay fatigue, then that would be something like a Gatorade and Powerade, in which they do contain sugar, but sugar is what you need. Any questions on this product? Because I know it is very popular within your sport. Whoops.
I'm surprised that it doesn't really do anything for you. You see it everywhere on infomercials, and you know, I think Connor McDavid actually is sponsored by these guys. So
yeah, Connor McDavid is from Biosteel, and they did a big push into hockey, and they've done a big push into golf. There's actually, you know, quite a few, if you look at just online content, there's quite a lot of like promos on golf courses at events where they'll have like a tent set up with Biosteel Drink the Pink. I went to a Raptors game when that was allowed in November in Toronto, and they were handing out Biosteel Drink the Pink to everyone going into the game. Like, we're just sitting there and they're like, it's like, and the lady's like, it's like Gatorade. And I said, no, it's not. But, you know, they're giving out free samples. So, I mean, the biggest thing is to just be educated about what you're getting. And the big buzz is that it's sugar-free, and people then think that that's a good thing. But we actually need that sugar to be able to perform. So just jumping into ones that you might have thought about, or you might be using yourself, whether it's just for life or also with sport. Probably the most popular one would be caffeine. And that's used primarily before a training session or before a competition or a round of golf. And the biggest thing to remember about caffeine is depending on the source, you might not have the same dosage each time, but caffeine is a stimulant. It is addictive, like many other drugs. So you have to be aware of what you're putting into your body, when, and how much, but it is very popular within sport. So I just put the recommendations here on the top. I know we probably have varying ages listening to this. So depending on where you fall within that, you can calculate what Health Canada would recommend as a safe amount of caffeine to consume. So for an adult, around 400 milligrams per day. So that would be one venti from Starbucks, would be over 400 milligrams of caffeine. For younger individuals, it's based on your size. So less than 2.5 milligrams per kilogram of your body weight per day. For children, 10 to 12 years of age, that would be under 85 milligrams. The performance dosage I've put right there, all of the research that's been done on caffeine intake before exercise to help with mental alertness, delaying the onset of fatigue, helping with focus. The research has been done with adults. So you can't extrapolate that, or you can't then apply it to younger individuals. So that's something I would say as a bit of a disclaimer. But I do, if someone has questions about caffeine, I will help them use it as the most appropriate way. And so this with this example right here, for someone's body weight, they weigh 79 kilograms, and they want to have 2.5 milligrams per kg. That would be around 200, or on here, 198 milligrams of caffeine. If you're wondering, when do you take it? About 1 hour, sometimes 45 minutes to an hour before the event. The event could be training, or the event could be a competition. And caution when any of the training is happening at night, because you might not be able to sleep depending on how quickly your body metabolizes it. Some people metabolize caffeine really quickly, and that just means they break it down. So you're able to break it down quickly. Some people, it takes a lot longer. So I have some athletes that say I would never use it if I was training at night, but I would maybe use it if I was competing or training earlier in the day. So for your sport, it would be earlier in the day. So it's possible that it could be a benefit. These are just some examples of the dosage. So the dosage of caffeine that you're getting is quite variable. And so it is helpful. I find lots of different companies like Starbucks or Tim Hortons, they actually post on their websites the caffeine content of the product. So you can look. If, let's say, you like Tim Hortons steeped tea and you're wondering how much caffeine is in there, it is listed on their website. Or if you go to Starbucks and you get, this is just their medium, 16 ounces, that has 330 milligrams. More is not better. So if you're thinking, oh, if 1 to 3 milligrams is good, how about 6? No, it doesn't have that kind of relationship with performance. Energy drinks, it really depends on what you're using. So that would be a big caution, I would say, if you're using an energy drink that is not third-party tested, because again, then you don't know if what's on the label is actually in the product. You can get it in a pill form. This is not a recommendation to do that. It's just an awareness that you can. And they do have third-party tested caffeine pills. They are called Wake Ups. They have 100 milligrams in them per dosage. That might be too much based on someone's size. And again, the research is done with adults. But you will see that when I work with lots of varsity athletes, they are looking for a caffeine source and they don't like coffee sometimes, and they're using it for training or competition. Then this at least would be one that is certified because it has the Informed Sport logo on it right there. I mentioned right off the start that it's pretty popular right now and continues to grow in popularity for people to take pre-workout products. You've probably seen them on grocery store shelves or at different training facilities sometimes. This is a product that an athlete brought to my attention that they were really interested in. And they said, what do you think? Like, is this going to do anything for me? So the positive on it is NSF certified for sport. You can see that right there with the blue logo. So, okay, that at least is minimizing someone's risk. But then we start looking at the ingredients and what's actually going to help performance. The only thing on here that's scientifically proven to enhance performance is the caffeine content. So nothing else in here is going to have an impact on performance except the 135 milligrams of caffeine. So if someone wants to spend, I don't know how much this would be, maybe like $50 on getting 135 milligrams of caffeine, that's pretty expensive considering the cost of other caffeine products. So any pre-workout, if you have questions about pre-workouts or you're looking through the ingredients list of a pre-workout, step 1 is making sure that it's certified for sport. Step 2 would be looking at the caffeine dosage and seeing if that's even appropriate for your size and age. And then step 3 is like, when would you then use it? The trick with caffeine is it never replaces what someone needs to eat. So if someone's like, oh, what do I eat before a round of golf, or what do I eat for breakfast if I'm training later in the day, the eating part comes first, then you possibly look at supplementation on top of that. The next one that's pretty popular, and Jackson showed that with the label of his product, is creatine. And so this is another infographic that just goes through some of the research behind creatine. And the research with creatine has been going on for a very long time. It is a very well-studied sport supplement. It's actually used in lots of different ways, not just in sport. It's used as a supplementation for the general population, a supplement for recovering from a brain injury, a supplement for dealing with aging and loss of muscle mass. So it has gotten a lot of attention. I would say it gets the most attention from my male athletes that are looking to put on mass or being able to enhance their body's training response. And for that, yes, the science does support it. But we have to do a number of different things to enhance muscle mass, and creatine would be one piece of that puzzle. So you can see on here, if we were looking at the impact it would have on your sport, I would say it would be more of a training supplement versus actually helping someone during a round of golf. So it is meant in the training phase, possibly of someone's training year. The performance impact is noted for high intensity work. So remember when I said make sure the supplement's actually proven in your sport. If someone was using creatine as a supplement, let's say they took their, and we can look at the dosage right away, but they took their creatine supplement and then they went to the gym and they worked out, and their training program was super low intensity, nothing explosive, nothing anywhere close to like max that what you can lift, then it's not going to have an impact. Your training program needs to be designed to then allow you to use the energy system that creatine is needed for. So it has to be explosive, powerful work, dynamic work, bounding, jumping, lifting weights. Like it's kind of all encompassing. So you want to make sure that it's lining well with that. So it has been shown to help, especially with male athletes, gain in lean mass and gain in strength. I mostly take it for hockey, but I think it would help for golf too. It just depends on the training, but I definitely think it would help for that sport as well. You can see the protocol for usage down here for many of the athletes that I work with. So the sports that I work with that would have a training response benefit to creatine would be hockey, would be football in the off season, would be track and field, especially those that are in explosive events like hurdling, jumping, throwing. And so typically they don't even do this loading because they find that the loading phase results in a lot of body weight gain of water retention. They will do this maintenance dose. And the smaller athletes and the female athletes that I work with will stick around that 3 to 4 grams per day. Some of the male athletes will go to 5 grams per day, but that's typically the maintenance dose. If you're wondering how long you can stay on it, that's a great question. There's people that are on it all the time. that they just take it as a maintenance dose, and that's just something that they do. There has been no negative effects noted with long-term use. Most of those are anecdotal reports, primarily with research with adults. There has been some research with children and adolescent and youth, and there's no negative side effects that has been noted. Doesn't mean that there isn't the potential for some, but that's what the science is showing. There is a potential for weight gain and rapid weight gain when you do the loading. So we know that rapid is not muscle, it's water retention. So if someone's just doing the maintenance dosage, you typically don't get as much of that fluctuation in body weight. But for my weight class sports, they're not taking this product. They can't deal with a 1 to 2 kilo change in body weight. So this is the theory behind why it works, and that's why it's only beneficial if someone is doing explosive power training, because they're utilizing their phosphocreatine energy system, which is used for sprinting, repeated max efforts. And so by taking a creatine supplement, you can increase the phosphocreatine stores within the muscle tissue. That might help with being able to produce that energy system of ATP quicker. It's also shown that it might be helping with delaying the onset of fatigue right in the muscle site as well. So these are typically the sports that benefit from it. I gave you some examples already, but weightlifting, so a weight training program, sprinting, jumping sports, not much benefit seen, in endurance-based sports. You can see some benefits in things like anaerobic sprinting with cycling. Typically, the benefits are seen in a training program because you're able to train harder and possibly longer because you have higher amounts of those phosphocreatine stores. This was the maintenance dosage. Typically, I would say athletes do like an off cycle, but then some athletes will say, well, what if I don't do that off cycle? Can I just stay taking it if my training program is still benefiting from it? So it really becomes someone's individual choice. This is a super important point right here. So in order for the creatine to be absorbed the most efficiently, you need to take it with a source of carbohydrate. That's what that CHO is. So if you're just taking a creatine product and you're not having any carbohydrates with it, you will not absorb as much of it into your body. And so by having it with like a granola bar and a banana, that would be enough carbohydrate to go along with it. Will your body stop producing creatine naturally if always taking a supplement? No, that won't happen. We get creatine from dietary sources of meat as well, but it won't have an impact on those. The stores in your body is really diet dependent. So if you're supplementing with a creatine product, that will just increase the amount that you have stored within your body. So if someone has minimal animal protein in their body, then their phosphocreatine stores might be lower to start with. They might then benefit even more so from taking a creatine in a supplement form. The when to take it. So there's been different research that has been done to say, do you take it before exercise or after exercise? Doesn't really matter. I would say it matters that you take it consistently because you're looking to maintain elevated stores of phosphocreatine within the body. One thing to note for female athletes is there doesn't seem to be the same gains of strength noted with female participants whenever they are part of a research study. I've had quite a few female athletes that have been curious about creatine. They've started on the maintenance dose and then they've said, I don't like it. I don't feel any different. I feel slightly heavier and I have to take my body weight with me when I jump. And it's not a supplement I want to take. So that's their choice. And then they stop taking it. So just to kind of summarize the supplement world is you'll see on the one side supplements at the top and balanced diet at the bottom. That's not how you want to be organizing your day. So if someone came to me and they said, I use caffeine before my workouts, I'm not going to just start there. I'm going to say, well, do you also eat before your workout? Do you drink water before your workout? So supplements are really seen as a piece of the puzzle after everything else is going really well. So you know how to fuel your body well, you know how to hydrate yourself well, and then you're looking at different strategies that might be able to enhance performance. But you don't work from the top down. So you always want to have that good foundational dietary intake, then some sport nutrition strategies, and then looking at if there are possibly some supplements that might be able to help you out. So when we're looking at supplementation, just I have a couple more slides. I think it can be really important for young athletes to get good advice about supplement use. Typically for younger athletes, supplements are being brought in when it's medically needed. So looking back at that iron requirement, vitamin D requirement, calcium requirement. When coaches have questions about supplementation, it's really important to reach out and ask an expert on it, because it's a lot of science that actually goes into the recommendations with sports supplements. And then one of the most important things, especially because it's the rules that we compete under within Canada, is the Canadian Centre for Ethics in Sport. And they have a pretty strong statement on supplement use. They discourage the use of supplements from both a scientific and an ethical point of view. They feel that supplements pose an unacceptable amount of risk to athletes and their athletic career, and that ultimately the athlete bears full responsibility for what is found in their body, which is, that is true, 100% true. I would say that with lots of the third-party tested products, there might be supplements that can be brought in a safe and effective way. But again, there's always going to be risk with supplement use. And then this top point right here, they should never be used to replace actual food. So if you even think of the word supplement, it is to supplement, not to replace. And so it can come in as part of a healthy diet, possibly at targeted times to get the best training response, maybe, but it's never going to be a replacement of different products that you might be interested in taking. So here's my contact information right there. So if after this you look in your pantry at home or you have questions about different things, please feel free to reach out and I'd be happy to help with any questions that you have. I'll just stop the share. See if anyone has any questions. Now I could see your label bigger. Steve, what is the label? You take that in the morning? What are you getting? What's your dosage?
This is ISO Surge.
It looks intense.
Yeah, it really is. Looks like not much sugar. Yeah. I'm surprised though that they have the labels on there and it's a bunch of BS.
Yeah. It's interesting if you I mean, obviously I learned about food because food is so hard to regulate. Like it's so strict, and then they allow supplements to do whatever they want. Yeah. What does that one have? Like 25 grams of protein? What was the protein on it?
Protein is 25 per scoop. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, that's a good question in the chat. Does glutamine have any benefits? That's a great question. The thought behind glutamine's an amino acid. It's not an essential amino acid. That means that our body can make it. Glutamine can sometimes become essential when we're in a time of stress. And technically you could look at exercise as like stress to the body, but usually stress is like medical stress. So as a supplement, no, I wouldn't say it would be needed in a supplement because it can be found pretty easily within our food. But it was pretty popular, I'd say maybe 5 to 10 years ago. It was a pretty popular supplement. Lots of people had questions about it. It was kind of like a targeted product that you could take, just glutamine on its own.
Mm-hmm.
Does anyone utilize caffeine before they compete?
I certainly do.
Yeah.
Sometimes you know when it's too much, when you're really jittery and
Yeah.
kind of racing thoughts and that, it's tough for golf. So
Very
definitely have
much
to
so.
watch your caffeine intake.
Yeah. And do you find with that you would then, if you were playing 18 holes, would you then have to recaffeinate it yourself, like midway, or are you fine?
Definitely when you're walking, you have to make sure that you eat food and hydrate, and
Yeah.
caffeine's kind of just for morning, and then once you're up and at 'em, it's good to go. But yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because I have found with many other sports that I work with that with caffeine, they'll usually do caffeine like 45 minutes before, and then they would also have it like an hour in or an hour and a half in, depending on the sport. And that's just something that they have trialed over the years of doing their sport, that they can feel some fatigue coming in. They'll have strategies for hydration and a snack, but then they will also recaffeinate themselves.
Interesting.
Yeah. But it's very right. You have to find that right balance of caffeine for every sport, but I would say even more so with precision-based sports, because being a jittery mess is not a good idea within your sport. And if you've had too much caffeine on an empty stomach, then it's disaster. Or if you've had caffeine in the heat and not enough fluid, even more of a disaster. So it's very much like it's a supplement to then utilize with strategy and have a plan on paper for sure.